I became a percussionist, I guess, when in 6th grade, when you first joined the school band. And I really wanted to play the saxophone. But you go to the school and the band director takes you through to try all the instruments. And I couldn't make a noise on the saxophone. And so they took me into the percussion room and they were clapping rhythms. So, yeah, can you play this rhythm? And then it was no problem. I was like, yep, no problem. Yeah, that's easy. And I just wanted to get it done quickly because I wanted to go back and try the saxophone again. But they never let me leave the drums from that point. They're like, this is what you're going to do. It wasn't until one of my teachers explained to me that if I could just make the career out of music, then you could play anything you wanted. So that's sort of how I got into classical music in the first place, was like I saw a career path that allowed me to keep playing music, and then I was playing music all the time. Yeah, as the principal percussionist, it is my job to sort of decide who's going to play what and where those are going to be positioned on the stage. I mean, in general, you kind of have a basic recipe for your stage, and the way things work for us at Town Hall is different than it may work for someone in another hall. So you have that basic setup, and then based on what the composer asks of you, then you have to decide where those are going to go and how is someone going to get there. And it's also a little bit about knowing your other players' strengths and weaknesses, and you don't want to put people in vulnerable positions per se, and you also want to put people in positions where I know I can trust them. I know, oh man, great, that's taken care of, this person's going to play that and it's going to sound great. I don't have to think about it. A few years back, we did a piece by David Lang, and one of the movements in it is for tuned terracotta flower pots. And so he doesn't tell you exactly which pitches, but he does tell you intervals. So there's 2 groups of 2. Each one has 2 flower pots, and they need to be a 1/4 apart. So I need to have a 1/4, and the other group needs to have a 1/4, but a major second above our 1/4. So he gives you the intervals. The only thing I could do is I spent an entire Saturday afternoon at Bunnings, and I go out to the outdoor garden area. It was a beautiful day. They just stack these things. They've got pallets of these things. So I just started with the first one and was like, okay, that's about a C. So I made a whole separate stack. I made a C and I picked it and I was like, okay, that's about an F. So I made this stack and I basically had a chromatic piano laid out. Not all the notes were present, but then I could look at that and say, okay, look, I got 2 fourths there. Okay, now I take these stacks, so there might be like 6 or 7 C's in there, and now I'm going to find the ones that are closest to C and closest in tune, and then you need to buy an extra because terracotta is quite fragile. So then you tune all those, and it was really funny. Not one employee came up to me and said anything. I was there for literally 2 hours doing this. Nobody came up and talked to me, except for a few customers came up to talk to me, and I'm not joking that one woman came over and asked me questions about the plots, and she's like, well, I have this, this plant at home, and it's about this big, do you think? And I was kind of bored with what I was doing. I was like, oh yeah, actually I think that would be nice. That one, yeah, that's probably the right size for your deck. So, that happens to me quite a bit.